We begin another week in the Word of God by reading the next 4 chapters in the book of Isaiah, chapters 20 through 24. The first of the reading begins with Isaiah following the wishes of the Lord by unclothing himself. God's purpose in this was to symbolize through Isaiah's humiliation, the humiliation Egypt and Cush were going to experience. What a bold and unashamed man. Isaiah was a man of God who was filled with faith and trust. Are we willing to completely follow God and fulfill his commands? Babylon, a great and powerful city, was also filled with horrible sin. Despite all its glory and power, it would also be destroyed along with all its idols. Chapter 21 also includes the prophecy against Edom and Arabia, followed by the prophecy of Jerusalem in chapter 22. All would be destroyed. Isaiah mourned for his people because he saw events from a spiritual viewpoint which burdened him. All their work was pointless, for they never asked God for help. Isaiah's prophecies against other nations began in the east with Babylon in chapter 13 and ended in the west with Tyre in Phoenicia, chapter 23. Tyre was a major trading center with wealth along with evil ways. He prophesied that God would destroy Tyre because he hated its people's pride. Pride separated us from God. We must examine our lives and remember that all our true accomplishments come from our Creator. There are times in our lives when things seem so terrible that we give up hope. This was seen in chapter 22, verses 13 through 14. Judah chose to party instead of turning to God. The country did not trust God's power or his promises. On Friday, I have chosen a thought on hope, for we need a dose of it as we read this prophet's book, especially with the past oracles. We need to realize that when we face difficulties, we need to turn to God. There are 2 common responses to hopelessness. There is despair and self-indulgence. But this life is not all there is. So we are not to act as if we had no hope. Our proper response should be to trust God and his promise, to include us in the perfect and new world that he will create. Isaiah prophesied some bad news, as we have read in the previous chapters. Thank God for sending his Son, the gift of salvation. We will continue with the book of Isaiah next week. And remember, Biblical Shakers makes reading the Bible way more enjoyable for you. I pray the Lord will put a hunger on your heart.